Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. So, today I wanted to talk about the first verse in the Sloka book, a compilation of many different verses from all of our scriptures. And the first division of these verses is explaining Sambandha Tattva, or knowledge of one's relationship with Krishna. And the beginning of this describes everything about Guru, or the spiritual master. Because again, without the spiritual master, without the realized devotee of the Lord, we cannot understand anything about spiritual life. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Prahlād Maharaj, he describes how materialistic people trying to lead other materialistic people is like the blind leading the blind. So right now, the living entity, the conditioned soul, is blinded by the darkness of ignorance. So much false ego, thinking that I am this body and everything in relation to this body is for my enjoyment. It's called I and mine. I am a man, I am a female, I am this, I am that. And this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my house, this is my child. When really none of these things belong to you, and you are also not these false identifications that you are putting on yourself, because they are all temporary. And really it is the soul that is who we really are. And we hear about this throughout the scriptures. And I'll read from this, what is Sambandha Tattva, what is Sambandha Gyan, and then I'll read the first verse. And these verses are ever fresh, like we heard before, so we can constantly chant these verses and gradually come to deeper and deeper levels of realization of these verses. And so we take shelter of Srila Gurudev, who spoke about this verse and all of these verses, but specifically this verse so many times, stressing the importance of taking shelter of a pure, transcendental spiritual master. So we will read the verse, and it's very helpful to understand each word and the meaning of each word, so that when we're reciting the verse throughout our day and in class, we can meditate on the very deep meanings that we've heard from Guru and Vaishnavas, and understand it more and more deeply. And there's a method to memorizing these verses, which I'll go over very briefly, is basically, if you want to learn any verse. We learned this from our Bhakti-bandhav Rasikananda Maharaj, our guru. And he mentioned how it's a 5-5-5 method process, meaning you write down the verse, you write down what each word means. We have a book here called the Slokamrita book, which gives the word-for-word translation. And I'll also put this in the description for any verse that we go over. And then we write the translation, and we study it, and try and familiarize ourselves with the word-for-word translation of these verses. And then with the translation in mind of the whole verse, and then once we have a good understanding of the words, we recite it 5 times out loud while reading it. Then we try to recite it 5 times out loud without looking at the paper or the verse. And then we recite it 5 times internally. If you were to chant your Gayatri mantras silently in your mind, all while meditating on the meanings of each word. So I'm not going to do that here, but this is the 5-5-5 method for memorizing verses. And then we recite it, throughout the day and every day, and go back and revise all the verses that you've learned. If you have a notebook, that's very helpful. And in this way, we can constantly keep our minds absorbed in these transcendental verses, which we heard from Srila Gurudev are personalities themselves. Each verse has its own personality and nature. So we pray to them and meditate on them, and over time we develop a relationship with them, like Srila Gurudev said. So this first verse is describing the definition of Śrī Guru, a transcendental guru, and the qualities and the qualifications of a bona fide spiritual master. So it's very important to understand all these things. Tasmād gurum prapadyeta jijñāsuḥ śreya uttamam śābde pare niṣṇātaṁ brahmaṇy upaśamāśrayam. Tasmād means therefore. Guru means a bona fide guru. Prapadyeta, one should take shelter of such a bona fide guru. Jijñāsuḥ, being inquisitive. Śreya uttamam, about the highest good. Śreya means good or auspicious, and uttama means the topmost good. So he should inquire from such a bona fide guru, jijñāsuḥ, from such a guru. And that guru, he should have certain qualities. So this second half of the verse describes the certain qualities of that guru. Śābde, in the Vedas. Pare, in the Supreme Lord, Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Cha, and niṣṇātaṁ, perfectly knowledgeable, fully realized in these 2 aspects of the Supreme Lord, namely the Vedas, which are non-different than Krishna, and Śrī Kṛṣṇa himself, pare, para. And brahmaṇy, in these 2 aspects. Upaśamāśrayam, also he should be fixed in detachment from material desires and conceptions. So again, tasmād gurum prapadyeta jijñāsuḥ śreya uttamam śābde pare niṣṇātaṁ brahmaṇy upaśamāśrayam. Tasmād gurum prapadyeta, we should take shelter of a bona fide guru. Jijñāsuḥ śreya uttamam, and inquire about the topmost ultimate goal of life, What is our topmost welfare from that guru? And what are the qualities of that guru? Śābde, pare, niṣṇātaṁ. He should be fully realized in the Vedas, 1, and 2, in Krishna himself, love for Krishna. Brahmaṇy upaśamāśrayam, and he should be detached from all material things. So, this is the verse and translation. And so I'll read some purport that Srila Gurudev has given on this verse. He mentions it many, many times, briefly, but we can't read all of the definitions, so we'll just read one. This is from Holland in 2001, June 6. Gurudev is saying, you should know this sloka of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. What is the meaning of tasmād? So this verse, it appears in the 11th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is compared to being like the forehead of Krishna. And Gurudev would always, he would mention that the different parts of the Bhagavatam, they are they represent different kinds of truth. So basically, the first 9 cantos of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam help one to understand sambandha tattva, or one's relationship with Krishna. The 10th canto, which only describes the pastimes of Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from his birth to his, ending his pastimes in Dwarka. That's like the goal. That's like the prayojan tattva, knowledge of the goal. And then the 11th and 12th canto covers abhideya tattva, or the process that one has to follow to achieve that goal. So first we understand the goal. And so Gurudev would say that his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he would mostly speak about the 11th canto, because it has so many verses that help us to achieve this goal, and it's very important. So, in this chapter of the 11th canto, the King Nimi, he's inquiring from the 9 yogendras about what is the nature of this world, and who is the Supreme Lord, and how can we devote our lives to him. And they respond to him by speaking about Maya, the illusory potency of the world, of the Lord, which creates this whole material world. And they describe how we come to this world and we are covered by these material bodies, and we become illusioned, and we think that this body is ourself, and we try and enjoy material relationships, but we're ultimately left only feeling so much suffering. Although we don't want suffering, we try so hard to increase our happiness, but we actually are just met with only so much suffering. And so the meaning is, therefore, one should take shelter of a bona fide guru and inquire about the ultimate good that one can attain. So in the Bhagavatam, somewhere maybe in the 3rd canto or something, Queen Kunti, she's praying to Krishna that only those who are materially exhausted can approach the Supreme Lord. And that one who is very puffed up by having so many material qualities, it is very, very difficult for them to approach the Supreme Lord. So Srila Gurudev, he said that I think that only those who are materially destitute can come to Krishna. And those who are having so much beauty and so much wealth and so much high birth and so much high education, it is very, very difficult for them to approach Krishna. Gurudev would say that if someone is very beautiful, then they're walking down the street and they're thinking, oh, I'm very beautiful. And everyone should look at me and worship me and tell me how beautiful I am. And so we see this with actors and other, models and other people online and who are very, very beautiful materially. They are so puffed up by this pride that they have no time to think about the Supreme Lord. They're only interested in being worshipped themselves and getting so much adoration and praise for this. And it's a distraction from their worship of the Lord. Because then now all of a sudden, all of their attention that is making them feel good about who they are will then be directed to the Supreme Lord, who is even more beautiful. But we're in this world because we want to take the position of God and be God ourselves and be worshipped. But it doesn't matter how beautiful you are, your beauty will have to go away. Gurudev said you will get wrinkles all over your face and all of your hair will turn gray. And then where will your beauty be? And now no one will worship you, and then they will just kick you to the side of the road and worship someone else who is more young and more beautiful. So we should not be so puffed up. Gurudev would say that someone who is very, very beautiful, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are or how strong you are, if you will be attacked by some disease and you will have so much loose motion, Gurudev would say, you have so much diarrhea, then there's nothing that you can do about that. You are bound to, be subject to that. And there's so many stories about this, but I'm going to keep moving forward. Basically, someone who's very beautiful, someone who has so much wealth, it is very difficult for them to approach the Supreme Lord because they have everything in this material world with which to gratify their senses and be materially happy. And so they think, what is the need of worshiping the Lord? What is the need of doing bhajan? I have a very nice situation here, so I don't need to think about Krishna. I don't need to think about any of these things. But when Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked, what is the most wonderful thing in the entire world? He replied by saying, the most wonderful thing is that everyone around us is dying, and we see that everyone is dying. No one is saved from death, but yet we think that we will never die. And that's amazing. That's the most amazing thing, is that we are seeing everyone around us is dying, but we don't stop and think that we will also die, and that everything that we're collecting will also go away. And so people who are very wealthy, they have no interest in, they simply want to enjoy in this world, because they don't think about the fact that they will have to die, and they can't take anything with them, and they don't think about where they're going to go after death. They don't even think about it. And they don't want to, because they want this situation to last forever. And so similarly, someone who is born in a very high family, like the president, prime minister or whatever, and someone who is very educated, who's very learned, he thinks that I know everything. There's nothing that I don't know. It is very difficult for them to humble themselves enough to the point where they can approach the Supreme Lord through his representative, because they have a very nice material position, so they have no need to think about anywhere else that may be better. But this verse is saying that all of this is useless. Everything in this material world, we can never be happy. The word Maya means that which is not. And so Maya, it means that what we are thinking is true, what we are thinking is real, is not really real. We are thinking we're these bodies, we're thinking that I am this person's son or father or husband. But really, it is not true. It's like a dream. And it's all just an illusion. It's real because we're identifying with it and we're attached to it, but it's not real because it's temporary and it's bound to be destroyed. Only that which is eternal is real. Krishna says like this in the Bhagavad Gita. We should understand the difference between that which is real and that which is unreal. Anything that's eternal is real. Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, they're eternal, so they're real. But anything in this world is unreal. So then therefore it's not worth even thinking about or talking about, because it's bound to be destroyed. So I'll finish reading from Gurudev's thing, and then I'll end. Gurudev says that in high-class association, anyone realizes that sense gratification cannot make us happy. This whole world is mortal. Everything is bound to end. Everything is bound to be destroyed. All of our material sense gratification, it is bound to end. And then it's bound to give us so much suffering. Gurudev Prabhupada says we want to eat something very sweet, and so we take one rasgula, some Indian sweet, 2 rasgulas, 3 rasgulas. But if we keep eating it unlimitedly and we want to keep enjoying that, then we're bound to get a very bad stomach ache and vomit, and so many diseases like diabetes will come, and so many things. And so we cannot enjoy unlimitedly. This is the fault of this material world. Gurudev said that if sex is so great, then why don't you have sex 24 hours a day, unlimitedly, for days on end? He said, I think that you will die after a few days. And so Gurudev is saying here, even having all the wealth of the whole world cannot make you happy. Because we saw that Ravan himself, this great demon, he had, Gurudev would always talk about this, give this example. He had the whole island of Lanka, and all of his buildings and everything were made of gold. And he had thousands and thousands and thousands of wives, and hundreds of thousands of grandchildren. He had all facility with which to be happy. But still he wasn't satisfied. He wanted to take Sita and enjoy Sita, which is the Supreme Lord's eternal consort. So of course, Lord Ram, he could not tolerate that. And in the end, he killed Ravan and finished his whole dynasty and everything. So, and then Gurudev would say, did that make Ravan happy? Is Ravan happy now? Now that he had to die and all of his wealth is finished and all of his wives are finished, all of his children are finished. Is he happy? Everyone who tries to be happy in this world ultimately ends in destruction and dissatisfaction. He would give the examples of Hitler and Napoleon Bonaparte, who tried so hard to take over the world and have everything, take all the wealth of the whole world. But then not everyone will tolerate that, and you see in the end they were killed. Hitler killed himself. Napoleon Bonaparte was kidnapped and drowned in the ocean. Gurudev would say, is he happy? And we'll always want more. We always want more. If we have $1 billion, it's not enough. If we have 10 million views on Instagram or YouTube, we want 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 1,000 million, unlimited. It never ends. And so we can never be satisfied by any material things. It will ultimately lead to us wanting to be the supreme enjoy ourselves. And so we have to be satisfied and understand our position as a infinitesimal, very tiny, 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 tiny little insignificant servant of Krishna, and connect to him through love. And then we can feel unlimited bliss and happiness in that pure love, not expecting anything, not wanting anything. And then we can control Krishna, and then we automatically have everything, because Krishna is everything. He's the source of everything. So if we've realized Krishna in our heart, then immediately we can be fully satisfied. Gurudev said, you will still have to give up this body. And at that time, whatever you have collected in this life, you cannot take a single hair of it with you. You should know all these things. All these things will only give you so many problems. Right? We hear the aphorism, more money, more problems. The more money you have, actually, the more problems you have. It's counterintuitive. You think the more money I have, the less problems I have. But you become so attached to the money. You become so distressed upon losing it. And always worried where to spend it, how to keep it. And then someone will kill you for it, Gurudev would say. If you have a lot of money, you become the target of so much theft and violence, and people can blackmail you and kidnap your family, whatever it may be. And you will not live a very peaceful life. So Gurudev is saying, by hearing these things, some detachment comes. And now he wants to know, how can I actually be happy? I have heard that I'm a part and parcel of Krishna, but I have no realization. I know that Krishna has created this world. He's so powerful. He is like father, mother. He is everywhere. But where is he? I want to realize this and serve him. Then he will search out a guru. And he will inquire, how can I be happy? Who am I? From where have I come? Where to go? But who is Guru? He has detachment from this world. First, he is detached. He has no desire for sense gratification. And he is qualified in all the Vedas. He can remove all the doubts of the disciple with all Vedic scripture, quoting all the Vedas. And especially, he's realized Krishna himself, the Lord of Lords. He has realization of how beautiful Krishna is. Guru has realized that Krishna. So this is the most important aspect of this, is that even though a so-called guru can recite all the scriptures and he's detached from this material world, he may not have realized Krishna. And this is the most important qualification of a guru, is that he's realized Krishna, because it's said in our songs, Krishna se tomara Krishna dite paro tomara shakati ache. Because Krishna is in his heart, he has the power to give Krishna. So if someone doesn't have pure love for Krishna, then he cannot give you Krishna, because he doesn't have Krishna in his heart. Krishna will only sit in a heart that is completely empty of any material desires. And that's only possible when pure love is there. And that's only possible to receive from a guru. And so we have to, anyone who we're surrendering to as a guru, he should be coming in a line of disciplic succession and have fully surrendered to his guru and be following him in all respects. So this is the meaning of Sangha and surrender. How Mahaprabhu completely surrendered to his guru. How Sanatana Goswami completely surrendered to Mahaprabhu. He's realized Krishna himself, and he's realized his own spiritual form, and therefore he's fully detached from this material world. Often Gurudev would give the example of Śrī Goswami, how he is not even wearing any clothes. He has no connection with this material world whatsoever, constantly being absorbed in his spiritual form and his spiritual realization of the Supreme Lord. And so Gurudev would say that if you ask somebody for $100, if they only have $1, then they cannot give you $100. And so if we want Krishna Prem, we want pure love for Krishna, If someone doesn't have that, someone doesn't have Krishna's heart, then he may be able to help us to some degree, but he cannot fully give us Krishna himself. So this is probably the most important part. This is definitely the most important part in spiritual life, is that we should try to find a pure guru. But Gurudev would say that it's very rare to have a pure guru. It's very rare. It is not so easily accessible because we find that so many we are all absorbed in this material world only. We are only interested in our material sense gratification. And so to find a person who is completely detached and who has fully surrendered his life and soul to their pure guru, this is very rare. So Gurudev would say that if we cannot find a guru like this, then we should pray to Krishna. Pray very, very, very hard to Krishna that he can send us a pure guru. And Gurudev would say that if you will pray like this, either Krishna himself will come and be your guru, or he will send any very high-class devotee to your door to be a guru, your guru. And he would give the example of Mahaprabhu, when Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they were in their village, and they were praying and praying and praying that Krishna send them a pure guru who can enlighten them in spiritual knowledge. Then Mahaprabhu himself came right to their village, right to their door, because we cannot understand with our own eyes who is a pure guru. We cannot look in this world and determine with our material intelligence who is pure, who is not pure, who has realized Krishna, who has not realized Krishna, because this is an internal thing, Gurudev would say. This is not something that you can externally see. Externally, you can see that someone may be very renounced, and they may have so much knowledge of the scriptures, but that knowledge may not be realized. Our whole spiritual life depends on the mercy and the blessing of Krishna and the Guru Varga, that we can realize all of these things. Like it's described, we may speak about honey, and we may read on the bottle that, oh, this is what honey is like. You know, we may hear from others, oh, honey tastes like this, and honey looks like that, and honey, right? It flows like this, and has this consistency, and so many things about honey. But if we haven't actually tasted honey, then how can we say that we are qualified to explain what is honey to someone else? This is not possible. So a bona fide guru should have a realization of Krishna, and then he is qualified to explain that to others. And so we pray for a pure guru who's realized all that knowledge. It's not just book knowledge. It's not just something that you can read and repeat. Right? It should be realized. We can say that, you know, the holy name is the sweetest of all sweet things, but have we realized that? And is the guru who is telling you that, is he practicing that? if he's chanting without stopping, right, then we can understand that he might be a pure guru. But if he's telling you to chant, but he himself is not chanting, Gurudev would say, and he's always absorbed in politics and quarreling, and he's always angry, and he's not happy, and he's engaged in so much sense gratification, enjoying intoxication and wealth and women and so many things in this material world, then how has he realized the glory of the holy name? A pure guru, he has nothing to worry about. He's like Śrī Goswami. Has no even consideration of male and female in this world. He doesn't see anything like that. He's completely absorbed in his spiritual form. And there's one story about how Narada Muni, the king of Ayodhya, or King Janak, the father of Sita Devi, I believe, Janak Maharaj, sorry, not the king of Ayodhya, forgive me. He was a great realized soul, and one day he invited Śrī Goswami and Narada Muni to come to his kingdom, and he had them sit on this one asan, and he told his wife, who I'm forgetting the name of, but the mother of Sita Devi, who Gurudev would say, she was even more beautiful than Sita. You can't imagine, because she gave birth to Sita. So if Sita is so beautiful, how beautiful will her mother be? And so the queen of King Janak, he asked her to dress up very nicely, very beautiful, with so many ornaments and so much makeup and so many things, and come and sit in between Narada Muni and Śrī Goswami. And she was very beautiful, the most beautiful, Miss Universe, more beautiful than Miss Universe. And as soon as she sat in between them, Narada Muni, he became disturbed, and he immediately jumped off and offered her his pranam to her, and sat on the floor, because he did not want to sit next to such an attractive lady, becoming disturbed. But Śrī Goswami, he was sitting right next to her, and he was completely naked, as he usually is. And he had no problem at all. He had no even transformation. He actually didn't even realize what had happened, because he was fully absorbed in remembering Krishna, thinking about Krishna and his pastimes and his spiritual form. And so he's not even aware of this world. This is the qualification of Guru. He's completely transcendental to anything. All of these material pleasures, he understands that it's all temporary and it's all fleeting, and it pales in comparison to the bliss of serving that fountainhead of all beauty and sweetness and love. So they've realized that, and we should try to find a guru like that. Gurudev is saying here, who is Guru? That person who can help us to serve Radha Krishna conjugal, or Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. He is Guru. He who is purely and strongly helping us, saying, you are the property of Krishna. I should make your heart sweet and pure and soft, and I should give it at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is Guru. But those who are thinking, oh, this disciple is my property, why should Narayan Maharaj take my property? Don't go to Narayan Maharaj. This is not a good thing. This is a bad thing. Right? So Guru, he will engage us in the service of Krishna because he knows that all living entities, everything in this world is meant to be engaged in Krishna's service. Haribo, Radhe Radhe. So my phone, my camera died. I just wanted to wrap everything up and say that this is a very good sloka to meditate upon and think about what are the qualities and the qualifications of a pure bona fide guru. The primary symptom is pare cha niṣṇātaṁ. He is fully realized Krishna. And someone who's realized Krishna and his sweetness and his beauty, he automatically knows everything, and he is completely detached from this material world because he's tasting that highest love and sweetness of service to Krishna himself. And so he knows the essence of all Shastra, because what is the essence of all Shastra? Krishna says in the Gita that I am to be known by the Vedas. By the Vedas, I am to be known. And the name given to our gurus, like our Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, is Bhakti Vedanta, that the essence of all Vedic knowledge and everything, all knowledge in general, this is knowledge of bhakti, or love for Krishna, which is the highest thing. And that bhakti, the source of all love for Krishna, is Srimati Radhika. And that bhakti has the power to control Krishna himself. And it's even therefore more powerful than Krishna, is love for him. Srimati Radhika has so much love for Krishna that he is controlled by her pure love. And so a pure guru, he's connected to Srimati Radhika and has that pure love in his heart, and therefore he can give that which can help us to attain the lotus feet of Krishna and again be happy forever, because that's all we really want. Anything that we do, we're thinking that we can be happy by doing this. And so Gurudev would say that if you will constantly think about and chant the holy name and speak about Krishna, then we can be happy. And we will stop trying to be happy with temporary, fleeting things, material things in this world. If we can have that very thick relationship of love with that eternal transcendental thing of Krishna, then we'll be completely detached from all the distress and sufferings in this world. It won't even affect us. We can be transcendental to it. So we have to take shelter of a bona fide guru who can help us understand all these very deep things and serve him, ask them questions, and then we can attain that ultimate auspiciousness, our ultimate good, and get out of this endless cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.